All right, Islam, Islam, Islam. Today is tonight is the second part of our Purim celebration, celebrating our foremother Esther and our forefather Mordecai. So I'm gonna start out with the same prayers we did earlier. Start with the Moorish American prayer, facing the east, feet on a 45-degree angle, 5 fingers on the left, 2 fingers on the right. Allah, Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
justice.
Allah is my protector,
All my protection,
my guide,
God,
and my salvation
salvation,
by night and by day.
night and by day.
Through his holy prophet,
Holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Ameen. So we're gonna go with Muhammad's prayer. I'll do it in Arabic and then English. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, praise be to Allah, cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, most gracious, most merciful, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship and thy aid do we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those upon whom thou hast not lead astray. Amen. Jesus' prayer is, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Next is Psalms 1, which is, blessed is he who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of the sinner, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but he delighteth in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be as a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth his fruit in his season. And whatsoever his leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so. They are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Elion know the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Amen. Psalms 133 is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He leadeth me beside the still waters for his righteousness. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of Elion forever. Amen. That was Psalm 23. This is Psalms 133. Psalms 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon and the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there Elion commanded the blessing, even life evermore. Amen. The holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given ye son. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brethren, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. When you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brothers in adversity, assist them. Thy sisters in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of our father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. I mean, shalom, 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 shalom. All right, so now we're going to pick up and continue where we left off with chapter 3, verse, I think we left off verse 8 or no, I'll start at 8. It says, and Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws, therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, right? And remember, this is was it yesterday? I think yesterday was the 13th day of the first month, according to the Hebrew calendar. It says, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. Right? That's important too. That term sealed. That's something we find in the Quran. I'm gonna take a mental note of that. It says, and the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even unto the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Okay, so this is the 13th day of the 12th month, was yesterday. We in Adar. But okay, so they was called the 13th a month later. But okay, so it says the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. Right? Chapter 4. It says, when Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it to her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Hathach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him the commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So Hathach went went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. Also, he gave him a copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. And Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. And Esther spake unto Hathach and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and all the people of the king's provinces do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther with, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place, but thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer: Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Chapter 5. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house. 3rd day. Over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. Quest, even to half of the kingdom, it shall be performed. The banquet of wine. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king hath said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther, the queen, did not let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. So that's chapter 5, and we halfway done. So tomorrow we'll read up to chapter 7. No, 8. Chapter 8, verse 9 or so. Yeah, we'll do chapter 8, verse 9. So yeah, so again, what was coming to me too is I was showing the Moors this earlier. The Jews in Jerusalem, what they do is they actually dress up on Purim for this particular celebration, right? And it's funny because this is what they. So if you notice, the brothers got fezzes on. This is in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
The children.
Come on, man.
Hold up.
Ah, wow.
The little one. Now I wanna see how they perform because I'm thinking I'm trying to think who is who. Like who, because what they're doing is they like to do the parades, and I think they put on a play as well, which is what I was thinking about while I'm reading this. Is like next year, my goal is to do this as a play. And it's funny because I got the perfect sister that I could probably talk to about bringing this to life. As a matter of fact, she's actually she has a play that's coming up at one of the theaters out here in New Haven. It's called the Schubert Theater. It's a very famous theater. She's into the Bible too, so she'd probably be interested in this. But I think that's something that I want to I'm gonna take charge of for next year for sure. But what I also wanted to get into as well is the Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 33, on gratitude. But yeah, I really want to do that because I'm noticing, like, I'm looking into this and I'm like, wow, they wearing the fez, but they dress up to do it. Part of their celebration as well, they get drunk because I guess they probably trying to make the connection to Esther's banquet of wine.
Yeah.
But they actually have a tradition where they get drunk to the point where, and they say this, where you can't distinguish between Mordecai and him. And it's just like, that's the Ashkenazi stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why it's like, I feel like we got to take it back. You know what I mean? Like we got to reclaim these things. And I feel like doing a play would really like bring it home and drive it home. You know what I'm saying? Every time I read uh more of this book, I gain a little bit more insight because it's funny because it's certain things in the book of Esther that relate to other parts of the Bible. It's like, wow, you know. But we're gonna review some of that tomorrow at 8. So what I wanted to get into though right now is chapter 33, holy instructions from the prophet on gratitude. So earlier we read about charity. So now we're digging into dig into gratitude.
That kind of correlate with the Islam Grand Sheikh. That kind of correlate with the book of Jeremiah, where it talks about not following after the ways of the heathen. So if they
Yeah.
doing that to get drunk, then that's the way they taking the heathen route.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course you at the Feast of Wine, I'm sure what the point wasn't to get drunk. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a celebration, whatever.
Facts. All right, so chapter 33, holy instructions from the prophet, gratitude. Instruction 1 says, as the branches of a tree return their sap to the root from whence it arose, as a river poureth its streams to the sea, whence the spring was supplied, so the heart of a grateful man delighteth in returning a benefit received. Right? Again, that has to do with charity and, back to, the heart, because again, this is where Allah resides. You know what I'm saying? That's why when we pray or we do certain things, we put our hand on our heart. You know what I'm saying? That's been something ancient. That's where we hold Allah. You taking an oath, you doing anything, put your hand on your heart. You know what I'm saying? It's very significant. And the Europeans did not invent that. So it says, so the heart of a grateful man delighteth in returning a benefit received. Like no matter how you slice it, we just have to be grateful. We woke up this morning, we got air in our lungs, we in our right state of mind. We got our health, our family, everybody's in good spirits. There's a lot to be thankful for. There's a lot to be grateful for. And that's a gift from Allah. You know what I'm saying? And we should be looking to return that benefit that we receive by helping other people. I'm big on this whole charity thing. Right? So it says he acknowledgeth his obligation with cheerfulness. He looketh on his benefactor with love and esteem. So again, even like it's really talking about like if you actually got something given, if you had something really given to you, and you're returning that benefit, right? So it becomes like an obligation. And what it's saying is we look upon this obligation happily. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and I've noticed this with the Nation of Islam. I think they do like the Savior's Day something, but I had noticed these two brothers. They was kind of going back and forth. Like, I'm going to donate the most to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Your gift not going to be bigger than mine. And they was going at it like, nah, I'm gonna get it this year. I'm gonna win the most. Who donated the most or whatever. And at first I was like yeah, that's kind of weird, man. Like, but then I was like, well, if Farrakhan is, and that's what it was, Farrakhan. But if Farrakhan is the leader of their organization and he's been able to provide them with all the things that they have, and and all the stuff that they're able to do, why wouldn't they do that for him? You know what I'm saying? Or at least for the organization, right? So it says, and if to return it be not in his power, he nourisheth the memory of it in his breast with kindness. He forgetteth it not all the days of his life. Right? So again, this even, you could take this even further, dealing with like if somebody, lend you some money or something like that, you might not have it to get that person back, but we never forget that. You know what I mean? All right, it says the heart of the grateful man is like the clouds of heaven, which drops upon the earth fruits, herbage, and flowers. But the heart of the ungrateful is like a desert of sand, which swalloweth with greediness the showers that fall, and burieth them in its bosom, and produceth nothing. Right. So this one verse is like can be unpacked a lot. Right. Then it's talking about the heart of a grateful man. Right. This is gratitude, being like the clouds of heaven. So your heart is like the cloud of a cloud from heaven that drops upon earth, fruits, herbage, and flowers. So these are all things that that grow from the ground. Again, back to this analogy with agriculture. You know what I'm saying? I always like to hit on that because for our ancestors, that's what religion was really about. It was heavily connected to agriculture, right? And the lunar cycles, the cycles of the moon. You know what I'm saying? Um, and again, right, the heart of a grateful man is like the clouds of heaven which drops upon the earth, right? We in certain other circles too, they like to identify female or the feminine aspect with the earth, right? They call it Mother Earth, right? So notice how it's talking about the heart of a man being when it's grateful is able to touch the earth and bring forth fruit. Now listen to the heart of an ungrateful man, right? And for the fellas listening to this, this is a demonstration on how to deal with our females, right? Because she is the earth upon which we shower our sun rays upon or light upon. Like it's talking about the heart of a grateful man and being a cloud which drops these things upon the earth, which would be like rain. You know what I'm saying? Which is like water or wisdom. Your understanding, right? But it say the heart of an ungrateful man is like a desert of sand which swalloweth with greediness the showers that fall. Right? Your wisdom is blocked when you're greedy. When you're dealing with greed, you said something, brother?
No, just
okay. When you're dealing with greed, your heart is blocked. You can't shower that wisdom. Your wisdom is locked. Right? And it says, and buryeth them in its bosom. Again, another reference to the female, because a female got a bosom, right? That bosom produced nothing. Y'all, what y'all together for? She can't do nothing for you, can't do nothing for her. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? This is where gratitude and cultivating these things, charity and gratitude and stuff like that, this gives us a deeper, like the prophet said, this is what helps us have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. For men, this is what these high holy days really represent for us. And I'm telling you, brothers, once we master this, man, we ain't gonna have no problems, bro. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be being very fruitful and multiplying. Right? It say, envy not thy benefactor, right? Neither strive to conceal the benefit he hath conferred. Right? So it's saying like if somebody do something for you, don't take the position like you have some people, right? You might have helped them out, gave them something, done something for them, and they take a position against you like you owe them. That's like that's envy. It's like if somebody does something for me, help me with some my rent, help me with some money or something like that. I'm not gonna take the position against them like, man, this motherfucker think he better than me or something, or man, they got it. Shoot, I ain't gotta pay him back. He got it like that. Shoot, that's envy. And it say, neither strive to conceal the benefit he hath conferred. Shoot, somebody chopping it up with somebody, they happen to ask about, yo, did so and so help you out with that thing? Nah, man, he ain't never helped me. They ain't never did nothing for me. Or even to the point where you just don't even say nothing. You having a casual conversation, you should be, yo, oh yeah, oh, matter of fact, we talking about so and so, man. Let me tell you about this brother, man. Yo, I was down and out. I was hard on my luck. The brother, the sister came through for me. Like, yo, that's not concealed. Because even to not even if somebody do something for you and that person come up in conversation and you don't mention what they did for you, it's like that's you, because that's really kind of concealing a little bit. You know what I mean? Especially if y'all talking good about the brother or something like that, or the sister. But people will do that about you. Even if you might help somebody out, you don't. This is why we got to be careful about certain people we help too. And typically it's those people that are closest to us, though, whether it might be a friend that you know for a long time, family member, some people you have to be careful about who you sow your seeds with. Can't sow your seeds with everybody. It's better, to be honest, sometimes it's better to sow it, because what happened is, remember, the heart is a powerful instrument, right? When that heart strong, those vibration chords sing loud in the ethers. You do something for the wrong type of person, and the first thing that come to their heart is envy. That's not the right type of sacrifice you want going up. You might walk by somebody you've never seen. They might not even see you. They might be laying on a bench. You say, you know what? I'm gonna run to the ATM, take out $20, boom, stick it in their pocket. Just dip. They might be looking so they're gonna find $20 in their heart. That's the type of sacrifice you want going up. You might not get that from your own family. It be like that.
Yeah, real talk.
Right? It says, for though to oblige is better than to be obliged, though the act of generosity commandeth admiration, yet the humility toucheth the heart and is amiable on the sight of a sight both of Allah and man. See, that's what I'm talking about, right? Right. It says again, for though to oblige is better than to be obliged, right? So it's better to help somebody than to be the person that's being helped, type thing, right? It says, although that's the case, right? Although that's the case, it's better to be in a position to help somebody than to be in a position where you need the help, right? For though to oblige is better than to be obliged, though the act of generosity commandeth admiration, right? Yet the humility toucheth the heart. So, right, though the act of generosity commandeth admiration, because of course, like if you're doing something generous for somebody, of course they're gonna be like, that's admirable, right? It says yet, so bump the admiration. It ain't about the admiration. people praising you. Oh, that brother's a good brother. I see him doing that all the time. Da, da, da. It's not about the admiration. It says, yet the humility toucheth the heart. That's what it's about. Touching the heart. And that is amiable on the sight both of Allah and man. That's what counts. Not on the sight of man, meaning everybody, but the man whose heart you touch. Right? And then it goes to say both Allah. So this is what pleases Allah. It says, but now listen to this. This go back to what I was kind of saying. It says, but receive not a favor from the hand of the proud. Again, it's not, the knife cut both ways. It's not always good to receive a favor from anybody. Don't just take anything from any old body. And it's not always good to just give to everybody. You got to be selective about who you're giving to too. Right? Because again, if we take in this analogy agriculturally, it's not good to just plant your seed anywhere. Got to be fertile ground. That ground got to be cultivated. You know, you can't just, you know, you got to kind of scout the area. Okay, it's not really water over there. Very arid over there. It's rocky. I don't know. It looks a little more marshy. You know, we get a little bit more rain over here. It's less arid. Yeah, I think we're gonna go that way. Right? It says, to the selfish and avaricious have no obligation. Right? Don't obligate yourself. So if you know somebody that's selfish or they greedy, don't obligate yourself to them. Because they're not the type of person that's giving that thing or that blessing or that handout of that help out of the kindness of their heart. It comes with something. Don't oblige yourself. Don't obligate yourself to that. You know what I mean? Then they're gonna, because what they do, yeah, I gave so and so, and now they told you, look, you know, you can have it, keep it, or just pay me back when you get it, or give me it back in a month. But they run around town telling everybody you ain't paid them their money. But you know people, you know a person like that because they that's what they do. They talk about everybody else. We know these people character. You know, we just got to keep our eye on them. Don't take handouts from them, no favors from them. It says, the vanity of pride shall expose thee to shame. The greediness of avarice shall never be satisfied. You know what I mean? The vanity of pride, right? Because pride is vain and it leads to shame. Right? The greediness of avarice shall never be satisfied. So it's a continued cycle. These type of people will never be gracious, right? They're always going to be miserable. So, you know, just keep that in mind as well during this particular time we're going through the celebration, Purim. And that's all I got right now. Sure. What's up, brother Henry Johnson? What's going on? What's up, brother Juwan? You had something?
No. I appreciate the bill. No. Everything's clear. Just get some everything you touching on. It's kind of like an epiphany for myself. How I would need to deal with some situations I had prior to this. So, just more confirmation.
Sure. Sure. I mean, like it's again, it's just, you know, the more we really dig into, like you said, this divine side, you know, the spiritual side, we start tapping into, you know, the Bible, these high holy days, these celebrations and things like that, you know, the better we're able to like in my opinion, navigate through the circumstances that we find ourselves in. You know what I mean? A lot of times what we go through would be cyclical. You know what I'm saying? It's just a cycle repeating itself until we get to the point where we can put these thoughts and our behaviors on autopilot. Because once we able to do that, you know, things will start to move in that right direction. We start to suffer less resistance. It's like flying, like hitting turbulence. You know what I'm saying? We hit less turbulence when we fly in the right type of way. But we got to do that by, making sure we connected to the source. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always encourage the Moors, man. Read your Moorish Holy Quran. Every time I read the Moorish Holy Quran, it's funny. Like I could read the same words over and over, and I'll get something different every time.
Right.
I'll get something new every time.
Right.
Like we were just building today because we were shooting some content, and we were dealing with the chapter on the holy instructions for our children. And I always came across the, what is it? I always came across these 12 things, right? Like it says, teach him obedience, modesty, gratitude, charity, temperance, prudence, justice, sincerity, diligence, benevolence, science, and religion. And I never like put two and two together that those are the 12 steps in chapter 5. Right? Dealing with the 12-step ladder that we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of life, which is the temple of perfected man. And those are the 12, that's the 12-step ladder. Now, there's other correlations to that too, right? We take that biblically, you know what I'm saying? That number 12 is heavy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like we're gonna build on that too. Cause like I said, we was building on that. I was like, yo, I told the national brand, I'm like, man, you gotta go in. Like you gotta go in on that. And that's why I say, man, like this little pamphlet is very, very heavy, man. And I encourage the Moors always to also make sure you get as well the rest of it, which is the Aquarian Gospels. I mean, by Levi Dowd, if you don't have it. The rest of this, the rest of this 18 missing years of Jesus' life,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some lessons in here. I haven't gotten through all of them.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Jesus was on it, wasn't he?
Was it? Boy, I'm telling you, I'm like, wow. Wowzers.
Yeah. Young too.
Young too. And this is, and this is another thing we building on, man. We keep talking about how, we trying to really take this Moorish movement to the next level and on a different trajectory, as far as how we look in the community with the charity work and as far as how we look on social media. And one of the things we was talking about is, just this educational program and really setting it up where we could start teaching our children at a young age these high sciences. It's no reason why at 12 and 13 our children are not passing the SATs. Like that should be just like, oh yeah, we go through SAT stuff on, every month. Like that's just what we do. I mean, at 12 and 13 passing SAT type exams. There's no reason why they can't. Is that we send our children off to the slaughter, the school to prison hip hop, the school to hip hop prison pipeline. Because that's all public school is making a bunch of illiterate children. And illiteracy leads to slavery. You know what I'm saying? We got to take back the minds of our children. That's because this indoctrination process starts very young. My son, by the time he was 3 or 4, he understood the concept of black and white. Like he had a idea about race. And I'm like, wow, because I remember asking him, and he might have been like 5 maybe, but I'm like, what? Because we would normally go, we used to go over like what's your nationality and stuff like that. But one day, for a while, we hadn't done it. But and so I asked him, I'm like, yo, what's your nationality? He was like, black. I was like, I was just like that. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, wow, like the indoctrination starts very young.
Yeah.
And that's really why we got to get it right, because they're gonna be the ones that's coming behind us, and we got to leave this to them. Like again, we was dealing with the whole chapter in the Moorish Holy Quran on holy instructions for our children, yeah, and it's dealing with the parents, right? And as a parent, it talks about the importance of thy trust, right? Because again, like being a parent is a duty. Like it's not it's a job, like that whole chapter on how to raise you either gonna raise a child that's gonna be a blessing or a curse to you or to society. That's a big deal, and right now we, like I said, send our children off to the slaughter to get brainwashed, and then they come up in the society and they become or get labeled as ministers. But it's like we got to take responsibility for that. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man.
Yeah, Islam, Grand Shigo. Yeah, that's what it's tough. It's extremely tough. By more about it now, we trying to do our best to home because we have a daughter and a son. My daughter's 6, my son is 1. And right now we able to homeschool right now. Like in North Carolina, you basically have until 7 till you have to like basically report it to the state or whatever. So I was thinking like, having this Moorish Academy type thing and try to throw these lessons in her early on. Right now, my daughter, she know that she's not black and she know that we Moors and things like that.
Good.
But I mean, it's just it's tough because of the financial barriers sometimes. You know what I mean? And you got to make that sacrifice of which parent gonna work, and what I'm saying, who really don't want to work and things like that. But like I've expressed to my Mo about is them getting the knowledge is more important than the material right now. We can kind of once they raised and we be good, you know what I mean? And I think that's what keeps a lot of parents from taking that route, because of the convenience of daycare, and schools is like a babysitting situation pretty much for them, and they kind of get their life back, so to speak. But once you make that choice, that responsibility is all yours. So you kind of like, that is your life. You know what I'm saying?
Sir. Yes,
but
sir.
It's definitely tough though.
Yeah,
but we definitely can right now.
Right. That's a great point, more like you're right. That what has happened is the sanctity of the family unit, the sanctity of sex, intercourse, all of these, the sanctity of everything has been taken away. So our people, we don't take these things serious. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's like school and daycare and these things are just like, you drop your kids off, you get your life back. Put the kid in front of the TV, keep them preoccupied, they get distracted, and then somebody else is programming our children. And it's a big responsibility, that we as Moorish Americans and just we as a people got to take more serious. You know what I mean? And I commend you and your Moabites for even being on that type of time. You know what I'm saying? We need more Moorish Americans that are, stepping up to the plate and doing those type of things. And what probably will end up helping be beneficial for y'all is, if we do get a temple set up down in North Carolina, or not even necessarily because we already have a Ministry of Education, documentation for that, to be able to prove that, she's enrolled, and we got a curriculum going and X, Y, and Z. if there was ever any issue, you know, the religious aspect would help, you know, kind of buffer against any type of legal consequence that the state or anybody would want to take against you because you educating your child after 7. That's because again, their laws don't trump our religious exercise. You know what I'm saying? And this is another reason why we need to have, you know, Noble Drew Ali, you know, Academy or whatever from K to 12. We need these things. Like National Grand Sheik always say, you know, he at one point in time, you know, or like you got people that grow up and they grow up like whatever denomination. But then when they go to college, they could go to like a charter Oak University, which is a religious school. They could go to a Brigham Young University, which is a Mormon school. You know, while we Moors, we still don't got a Noble Drew Ali University yet. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, anybody could attend. You don't necessarily even have to be a Moor, like because plenty of people go to. Well, I'm not sure how Brigham Young and certain other religious schools work, whether you got to be of that denomination or not. But I'm pretty sure you don't necessarily have to be paying the tuition. You want to get educated over here, you get educated over here. That's like our ancestors was doing that. It ain't matter necessarily what nationality the people was. Like we was, whether you was Jewish, Muslim, Christian, you could come in and get educated at the different universities that we were setting up in Salamanca and all these different places and stuff, especially when we were setting them up in Europe. By the time we started setting up the universities in Europe, I mean, if you could pay the tuition, you could attend. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody could pay the tuition, but it didn't matter if you was Asiatic, European, X, Y, Z. You know, that's one of the reasons why we actually went into Spain, because one of the Jews sent his daughter to get educated by Roderick. He has some type of Christian school going on. So he sent his daughter to get educated. They raped her. So he went back into North Africa, got the Moors. And the Moors went up in there, you know what I'm saying? And then once we established those universities, like I said, it didn't matter what denomination, you know, what religion you was, you know, whatever your nationality or your tribal affiliation was. If you had the tuition to pay, you would come in and learn. And so we gotta get it to that point where it ain't even a question. Like y'all ain't got a question if we homeschooling. We got a school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's up the standard. Our children are enrolled. You know, so that's the ultimate aim. You know, standardize this Moorish divine and national movement in every republic, where we can have schools set up. You know, health centers, you know, birthing centers, hospitals, our own ambulance, fire department. And to be honest, and this is why I'm on this whole charity volunteer thing so heavy, because what is a fire department? Most of them are volunteer services. Most of them not getting paid by the cities. They be volunteering. Shoot, okay, so you mean to tell me we can start a volunteer Moorish fire department? Moors, we hopping out, you know, running up in a joint, pheasants, or we just got the helmets with the 7 on them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Circle 7s everywhere, putting out fires. Come on, man.
Yeah.
What they gonna say after that?
Yeah, nothing.
Can't say nothing. We saving people from burning buildings and stuff like that. Come on, man. That's how we make a change with this movement. It's simple, man. Allah gave us.